Zoe here. Today I'm coming at you with a highly requested video. This video is going to be all about my study visa, the process as a Canadian, how I managed to move back to Italy on a study visa. And if you've been following along on my channel for a little while, you know in a Zoe's Diary video, I'll be sure to card it and link it down below, I did have some real talk with you guys and let you know that this hasn't been the easiest process. It's definitely been very challenging mentally, but I made it to the other side because I'm in Rome, Italy, and I'm so incredibly happy and grateful to be here. So I'm going to give you all the information that I can as a Canadian, and I hope that this video inspires you to pursue a visa of your liking, or in fact, a study visa in Italy somewhere. So let's get started. Alright, so if you guys are new to my channel, my name is Zoe and I'm currently living in Rome, Italy. I have a whole playlist on moving to Italy, which I'll be sure to link down below. And I am a Canadian. I make a lot of videos on lifestyle, self-improvement, and travel. So if you haven't hit that thumbs up or subscribed yet, be sure to do so down below. Okay, so let's get into it. As I mentioned, it has been a bit of a challenging process. So from the beginning, I had already pursued a working holiday visa. So that was a visa that's available for anyone living in Canada. Also, I believe Australia and New Zealand. So being under 30, you have the opportunity for only 1 year of your life to move to Italy on what is called a working holiday visa. Within that visa, you're allowed to work for 6 months and tour for 6 months. So I worked as an au pair for a shorter period of time, and then I, of course, just enjoyed Italy and traveled around a little bit last summer. So leaving Rome when I had to leave, when my visa had expired, and going back to Canada, I knew I wanted to go back. And the option that seemed the smartest for me was to choose the study visa because I desired to learn the Italian language. If I want to live in Italy, if I want to pursue this expat life abroad, I'm going to need to learn the language. And I had like basic Italian, but I just so much desired and still do desire to be able to have conversations with people. So this is why I chose the student visa. So as a Canadian and as a resident of Ontario in Canada, I had to apply for this visa again in person at the consulate in Toronto. If you aren't familiar, when you do apply for a visa as a Canadian, you will need to go to the consulate to have an interview and to hand over all of your documents. On the consulate website, you will see a list of all the documents required, and I definitely recommend you all do your own research. There is a lot of reading that needs to be done on the consulate website to make sure that you have all the right paperwork, because most of the time you only have one shot. You have the one interview space, and when I first applied for my working holiday visa, I had to book it months in advance. Luckily, this time around, I had my interview in January and it wasn't so much of a busy time at the consulate, but I still had to wait a few weeks out for an appointment. So tip number 1 is to make your appointment. And then tip number 2 is to read into it and make sure that you have all the requirements when you do go into your appointment. So the student visa. The student visa is very similar to the working holiday visa. Basically all the same requirements, but you need to have tuition. You need to have paid tuition, and you already need to have paid for a place to live. So in total, I'm just gonna put it straight out there, and if you did watch Zoe's Diary, then you know, this visa, this student visa that I have as a Canadian moving to Italy, studying for 5 months, cost me over 5,000 Canadian dollars. That is expensive. Why is it so expensive? Well, if you're familiar with the visa process, you know that you first need to make the appointment. The appointment costs a couple $100s. I needed to get myself to Toronto to go to this appointment, which was a few $100s in flights. It was actually more expensive for me to fly from Vancouver Island, where my parents are from, to Toronto than it was to fly from Toronto to Italy. So that might give you some idea. You also have to pay for medical insurance for the entire period of time that you're over there in Italy. So this has to be a higher amount, which will have the specifications on the website. I definitely recommend looking at it. But this cost me around $1,300, and that's like a minimum. It's something you have to pay. Your flights also have to already be booked by the time that you're going into your appointment at the consulate. That means your flight out of Canada to Italy, and also your flight from Italy back to Canada when you're hoping that your visa will be expiring. So on top of all that, I also had to pay for passport photos. Isn't too much, $15, $20, depends where you get them. And I also had to pay for my tuition. So I'd say like tuition was the bulk of the price because I had to put down a lot of money, over $2,500 for school. And I still continue to have to pay about $500 per month for classes while I'm here. So it can be quite pricey. I definitely recommend you ask all your questions before you come over here to your school. What do they expect? How much more money will it cost? I then had to expedite all of my documents from Italy to Canada because I needed the stamped documents from the school to show to the consulate, and that costed about $60. So as you can see, all of these little things start to add up. And I want to tell you, it can seem a little tedious, whether it's filling out these documents, waiting on hold with healthcare, trying to go on this scavenger hunt for everything that you need. Getting over here and receiving the visa, although it's an exhausting process, it is so fulfilling. I know for a fact, though, that if I wasn't so completely in love with Rome and really did want to spend a lot of my time and my life in Italy, I probably wouldn't have made it all the way through. It's challenging. It's a lot. I don't think people realize how much it takes to apply for a visa until you're actually in the process. And I know that I'm so fortunate to be Canadian because we have the opportunities in so many countries to acquire working holiday visas, student visas, things like that. I'm so incredibly grateful, and in hindsight, it never is as difficult as it seems in the process, but you do have to have all of your ducks in a row, and in my case, I had all of my eggs in one basket. Like I said, this visa has costed me so far over $5,000. There's so many things that you have to organize by the time you get over here. I needed to know an Italian who would sign off on documents and scan me their passport to say that if anything ever happened to me with my living situation in Italy, that they would house me. So there's all these different types of things that you need to know. And if you're somebody who's going over to the country not knowing anyone, it's quite difficult. How are you going to find someone to say like sponsor you if you become homeless? So there's so much to read into and so much to know, so I definitely recommend emailing the consulate whenever you have questions. I know I email them probably once a week. It's just all about you being a go-getter and pursuing your goals. Like I said, if I didn't love Rome, if I didn't pursue Italy as much as I have, there would have been so many times when I would have backed out. Because even this time when I showed up at the consulate and I had every single piece of paper that I printed off online, that I filled out, I even had photocopies of absolutely everything, I was still missing things. Still missing things because the website wasn't up to date. So I definitely encourage you, ask all of your questions. If you are filling out, say, an application form and you don't know if you answered the question correctly, take a photo of it, attach it to an email, send it off to them. The consulate is very good at responding to emails, I found, especially the Italian one in Toronto. So just be sure that you're taking advantage of all of the resources you have as an applicant. So I do want to touch one more on housing when you do get here and, for example, Italy. So the consulate will ask you if you have a place to stay for your entire duration of the time that you're there. Even though I was under the impression that I could go to Italy just showing proof that I had booked myself into a hotel for the beginning of my stay, and then I wrote a letter that said that I was intending to rent because I was in the impression this is what I needed. When I showed up to the consulate that day, I found out that that was not the case, and I actually had to have this type of sponsorship from an Italian, which included the letter, their passport, and an application form, which I could not find online. So this is what I'm saying. It can be a little bit of a facepalm process. And now being over here, I'm finding that it is very difficult to find an apartment because it's not like what I'm used to in North America. In North America, you go online, Kijiji, Craigslist, you look up, places to rent, you go meet the person, check out the place, yes or no, they like you, yes or no, you're in. You might pay first last month's rent and a damage deposit and you're in. In Italy, we've been asked to do all kinds of things. 10,000 euros in the bank, 10,000 euros up front for them to have in their bank to hold in case you don't pay rent. They want an Italian bank account, which seems like, it might be easy because in North America, you just walk in and you can get a bank account. You can probably download an app and install a bank account for yourself. But no, in Italy, it's very difficult as a foreign person, as a Canadian person, to have a bank account. And many things are very different here, and I'm sure many things are very different in other European countries. So just be sure that you do your research and do your best to set yourself up for success on the other side. Because as I was trying to explain in the Zoe's Diary video, is it can feel quite defeating when you are working so hard, stressing so much, and putting so much money forward, not knowing if you're going to be even allowed to step on the plane the next week, having forked over $5,000, just hoping that, yeah, I get to move to Italy. Because in my case, I didn't exactly have a plan B. To be honest, I didn't have a plan B. My plan B would have probably been to get back on a plane from Toronto, back to Vancouver Island, and move in with my parents until I figured out how to get back to Italy. So it's an adventure, and I'm so grateful to have this adventurous life rather than say, not have any entertainment like this. But it will take a toll on you. So all I meant by that video, not to discourage you guys, but just you have to be that go-getter. And you'll know if you're that go-getter, if it's truly in your heart, and if it's truly a goal that you really want to achieve, and you know how fulfilling it would be. As long as you have your head focused, straight on, tunnel vision, you'll achieve your goals. It doesn't matter what you want in this life if it seems like it's unattainable. If you are willing to achieve and you believe in yourself, you will achieve. And yeah, I'm so excited to be back here. Really, things are starting to look up. Still don't have a place to live, but figuring it out. You guys are along for the journey, and can't wait till I can show you an apartment tour. That will feel amazing. So like I said before, please give this video a thumbs up if it helped you, and subscribe down below. I'll be sure to link my Moving to Italy playlist and also the Working Holiday Visa video where I just explain what happened. And best of luck to all of you. Let me know if you are applying for a visa right now. I'd love to know. Have an amazing day. Bye!